Tumepigana vita, vita vyema vya imani, sasa nangoja kulipwa pamoja na walioshinda.
This is a country with an 80+% Christian majority. So you don't think about it much when you think about persecution, but after seeing the sights and talking to the people, you can see how much of a persecution toll Al-Shabaab has really waged, particularly in northeast Kenya and then along the coast all the way down to Mombasa. When you take all these things together, you can really see the toll that fundamental radical Islam has in this part of the world. And even in a country with a Christian majority, and even in a country where religious freedom is promoted, it's a place that still faces a heck of a lot of persecution because of Al-Shabaab. Pretty monumental place to visit first on our trip was Garissa. Of course, the site of the 2015 attack Al-Shabaab of Garissa University College, where they separated Christian students from Muslim ones and killed 148 people. Most of those were Christians. We did get the opportunity to meet the CEO of the university and the dean of students, who spoke to us and also took us around basically on the pathway of the attack, April 2nd, 2015. It was just a surreal time of walking from spot to spot chronologically as we moved along the pathway of the attack. The first room we visited was the area where Christians were praying early at 5 in the morning, the first room to be attacked, and you can still see bullet holes in the wall. There's still blood splattered and stained on the floor, and you can literally still pick bullet casings out of some of the bullet holes. That was the first spot where Christians were targeted and killed during the attack. And then we moved on to the first hostel where students were living, where 123 people were killed, and then moved on to a second hostel where 5 more were killed. Another 5 who were killed were staff and security guards, totaling up to 148. But just commemorating and remembering and now entering the story into one of the worst persecution attacks in Kenya's history, and certainly the worst one in 2015. Continuing our journey around Kenya, and day 2 coming to a close as we arrive in Mpeketoni. Most of the day was spent in the car today on some really bumpy African roads. We actually relied on some local help, picking up a Somali guy in a town called Bilbil, who helped us on some back dirt roads which were less bumpy over to Bura, and then picked up another guy in Bura who helped us to get to Hola, which kind of allowed us to divert some of the extra security that was along the Garissa-Mombasa road, but also allowed us a more comfortable ride, because that road, which is torn up tarmac, is just one of the bumpier roads that you'll find in Kenya. And so instead of coming away with bruises on our hips and elbows, we enjoyed kind of a more scenic route of rural Kenya through the desert, but also made it to Mpeketoni in about 8 hours, which is faster than you would if you took the bumpy road. Day 3 coming to a close in our trek around Kenya, and it was a long one. We spent most of the day in the bush in a village called Malamande. In the summer of 2014, the area was hit pretty heavily by Al-Shabaab, and Malamande was a town that was massacred, basically. Several men were killed, and a couple of women left widowed. A couple of children left fatherless by this massacre. And the village was basically burned down by Al-Shabaab. So we met Samuel Kangete, who survived a gunshot wound to the abdomen, and he's got a pretty grisly surgery scar that you can see right down the middle of his chest into his stomach that helped to provide access so they could remove the bullet, and he lives today. Praise the Lord. And then we visited a house of a guy named Gichobi, who, just an amazing story. He tried to dig a hole through the back room, the back bedroom of his house, when he knew that Al-Shabaab gunmen were coming, and he couldn't get a hole big enough in time to escape, and he was cornered on both sides by gunmen, at which time they shot him and killed him.
So this is one of the saddest stories that I've ever heard about terrorism, because Gishofi was trying to get out through that hole, and they shot him from outside. He died and they burned him, and then they shot his son Ken and the neighbor Lawrence. 3 men at one time. That is a sad story.
Lastly of note, just 3 days before we arrived in Pekatoni, there was an IED explosion that killed 3 KDF soldiers. So there seems to just to be violence all around us, and we're just thankful for the Lord's protection.
There are shortcuts, and I know the town very well. I know the most important places. I know the security, how they are allocated. The guy doesn't know that. That's what made Hindi to be safe. After they were not at Hindi, they started coming back and do this. But if come on get Hindi, angechinja watu.
So are they using this route that we came with, or there's another route here?
This one.
Just here?
There. You better buy it.
It's joining Hindi town.
Hindi is here. Hindi is here.
Maybe that's a good reason why they came here.
So when they were going to Hindi, they used the same route. And it's the route which Ali knew. There was no any other route Ali
New.
Yeah. So they used the same route. They went.
So what you're saying is that they hid out in Malamande
Yeah.
for intelligence purposes.
Yeah.
And they learned the route to Hindi Town.
Yeah.
But in Hindi Town, they didn't have the intelligence they needed to carry out a successful attack.
Yeah, the person that they used.
They did what they knew, which was Malamande.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was an attack of opportunity.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So their goal is just to create mayhem.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the target is. Their preferred target would be Hindi Town.
Yeah.
But since they can't be successful in Hindi Town, they just
came
come
back
in.
and started demolishing everything they got. Ozuku walienda saa mbili.
And why were they targeting men?
Okay, you see, one reason, if they kill you right now, example, you are the one hosting the family, yeah? You and the Mama Eunice and your son, and your sons and daughters. If they kill you, Mama Eunice will she be stable to stay here? She'll vacate. The shampoo left alone.
The goal is to displace.
Yeah.
But they could easily just kill the women. Why don't they kill the women?
I don't know. Everywhere they don't
They
kill
have
the
some morality about not killing women?
No, if they kill the husband,
Yeah.
the woman will not sustain, stay
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
She will vacate.
Of course.
And then the shampoo left lonely.
Yes.
So this shampoo will be sold to somebody else.
Yes. But
And that's why you get the meeting was held there, the community meeting,
Yeah.
that the people should go back to their gardens.
So, I see.
If they don't go back, the garden will be allocated to other people who are interested to farm, to take over.
Because basically this place is for farming.
Yeah, this place it's best for farming, as you see. The trees. That's what they do.
We're standing right in front of a memorial that was erected to remember those who were killed in the 2014 Hindi and Pekatoni Malawande massacre by Al-Shabaab. And it's kind of surreal. I mean, we're reading names on the side of this monument of people who were related to the people that we talked to yesterday in Malamande village, who were rebuilding their houses.
There's Stephen Kangede, and there's Justin Shege, Silas Enoch, this Mzee Enoch, and on this other side I can see Karisa Doya Wanche, and I can see Jeremiah Ngari and Simon Kangede Ngari. So those are a few names from Hindi, and the names were put here as a way of commemorating. And we hope that this year we'll have a meeting here around this monument to continue sympathizing with the people that lost their dear ones. I'm also able to see Kahindi Karisa Masha. Yes.
What a encouraging and heavy day it was. We had a great opportunity to meet with a couple of pastors and had some great fellowship, but what was the most profound was meeting with Pastor Willis from the Joy in Jesus Church. Just such an amazing testimony of a guy who ministers fearlessly after in 2014 his church was shot up by Al-Shabaab attackers. 6 people in his congregation were killed brutally, and he arrived on the scene with blood everywhere and bullet holes everywhere. Thankfully, he survived, and he was uninjured. He got there after the attackers had left, but his wife is traumatized, and it's just an amazing story of what suffering for the name of Christ looks like, and then persevering because of the confidence of Christ.
March 23rd, we were attacked. There were 3 people. One with that machine gun with call it a belt of bullets, right? And the other 2, one had a pistol. So it was in the morning at around 10 o'clock. It was in fact some minutes past 10, about 10 minutes past 10. And continued. You see, when he came in, there's an old man, a man who was here. So by then I had not yet arrived because it was still early in the morning, the teaching time. We normally do the teaching, the first service, a teaching service, up to about 11:15. When he was shot from here, he fell here. This is the blood of that man until today. And the floor became wet until today. It has refused to go away. We've washed it. We've done everything. Stain removers, everything. And when he fell down, that guy shot him again. This is a bullet. See that? But this has refused to go away until today. Because the first guy who was shot, was killed. But as I was coming on my way before I arrived here, I was called on phone that we attacked. So I had gunshot, and people screaming, crying. So when I came, I found things were not. In fact, it was like a movie, horror movie. If you have seen a horror movie. And it was a hell. I think that was a hell. It was just like hell. There are some of these benches also, which were shot. See this? There's a bullet hole. See this? It hit the metal here, that it went through. So this is what hit the people who are sitting there from behind. When it goes in, it is small, but when it exits, it's big. Because when I came, Everybody was running. You could see no member. You could know who is who because everybody was here. People coming in, the blood everywhere. Some people lying down, some dead. Some police also came, and it was a great total confusion. Some people were coming, collapsing again. Even those who are not us, even the Muslims, everybody was coming. So whoever comes could, one glance, you see somebody vomiting, collapsing, fainting. So it's a total confusion with the bloods everywhere, with the bullet holes everywhere. This, see this? This is a bullet hole. There are those. I don't know how it went up. Maybe they shot somewhere and then the bullet went and shot.
Up there.
Yes. Sinya. Sinya.
Isinya.
Oh, Sinya. See those?
Sinya.
Oh, Sinya. So I don't know whether a bullet went up to that wall and then jump. I don't know how it happened. This one also, see that roof? We've not made it today. We're still waiting for our financial help. Even my wife could not, even today my wife cannot come here alone without anybody. There must either be 2 or 3 people, but coming alone in the church she can't. She's still scared.
So they came in when the pastor was preaching?
Yes, assistant pastor was teaching here.
Not here.
No, he was using this because in the teaching not many people are there yet.
Yeah.
He was here. So that guy, after shooting the man, he never wanted to shoot anybody else. He concentrated on him from behind.
So he shot from behind?
From behind.
Like spraying?
He wanted this pastor here. It didn't touch him. Again, it didn't touch him. Then when he started running, you know, that's what I see. This is how God works. When he was scared now, he lost faith in God and he feared. He was shot when he was somewhere there, going away, running. But here, no bullet touched him. He was here. He was not touched. That was not touched. He was not touched. But as he realized what was happening, now he was running. He was shot there and he fell outside. That's how he died. This was not touched. All that wall was bullet holes, but this was not touched. There were bullet holes. My ministry is to change the community. It's a ministry of the entire families, a ministry of every human race, and we must make sure that the true gospel of Jesus Christ reach to everyone, no matter who they are, whether they're a Christian, whether they're a Muslim. All these guys were created by God, and Jesus died for all. But again, there are those who God has destined for wherever. But those who are called, He will call through us, He will get, no matter what, yes.
Day 6, our final day in our trek around Kenya to visit the sites of persecution. And this basically wraps up our time. We're headed on our way back from Mombasa all the way back to Nairobi before we leave back to the States. And just recapping and thinking about all that we saw and experienced. We visited Garissa University College, where Al-Shabaab gunmen separated Christians and Muslims and killed 148 people. Then we headed down to Mpeketoni, where we heard stories about the 2014 massacre, including the torching of Malamande village and all of the people that were killed there. And then we headed down to Mombasa, where we saw Joy in Jesus Church, which was shot up in 2014. And even in a country where religious freedom is promoted And being a Christian is not only socially acceptable, it's socially beneficial. It's a place that still faces a heck of a lot of persecution, and the church is facing continued suffering. So we ask you to keep Kenya in your prayers, particularly people that live in the east part of the country. And we ask that you pray for the salvation of those who are persecuting the church here in Kenya. And with that we say, Asante sana. We'll talk to you again soon.
Bwana sifiwe kanisa.